Well, welcome in wherever you are around the world for Stage 5 of the 25th edition of the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai up here in the northwestern part of China in what is one of the great bike races anywhere in the world. These are highlights from Stage 4, which was a remarkable stage, a day where the jerseys moved. And ultimately it was an opportunity through the first part of that stage for our sprinters to try and accumulate more valuable sprint points. Alexander Selby continuing to lead in that green jersey. He was joined by his fellow teammate for Li Ning start, the great Niels Sinchek, the man from the Netherlands who actually won stage 2 of this race back in 2023. They would pick up the early King of the Mountain points, but they knew that their day out in front wouldn't be lasting for too long. Ultimately, they would be climbing up the Qinghai mountain, a total height of 3,823 metres or 12,500 feet. So anything these two could grab, including Roman Shishku, was of value. Good to see the two-time and the defending champion Hanoch Mulubran of Eritrea riding for Astana, also picking up a valuable sprint point. When they got to the top of the climb, it would be Jan Castellion from Qinghai Rural who would secure the ultimate prize in terms of the King of the Mountains. Three riders would get away and it would be a remarkable sprint finish. Unbelievable. Santiago Umba, the young rider from Solution Technipo, picking up the stage win. Jan Castellion of Qinghai Rural would pick up second. Emmanuel Bookman, the man who finished fourth at the Tour de France back in 2019, third, which would mean at the end of the day it would be Jan Castellion who would move into the yellow jersey, and he would end up having a 12-second lead, in fact a 4-second lead over Emmanuel Bookman, followed a further 8 seconds to Hanoch Mulubran, the race leader. Earlier today it was an opportunity for the athletes to sign in the town of Gida. Wet day, a cool day, but certainly still plenty of smiles amongst the 22 trade teams on offer. It is now the responsibility of Qinghai Rural to defend that yellow jersey, and this is the man they will be riding for. This is the man they hope to keep in the yellow jersey for the remainder of the tour, Jan Castellion, the man from Spain. Alexander Selby in the green jersey. And there we go, 18 degrees, but when they do get up the top of the Yangshan Bakata mountain today at 3,744 metres or 12,500 feet, the temperatures are expected to drop close to zero. Looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he, our race leader? He will be a big target. King of the Mountains sitting on the man from Euskaltel Euskadi who's been superb this tour, John Agedi. There he is, Alexander Selby, a winner on stage 1 of this year's race. 2 stage wins last year, arguably the best sprinter in this year's Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. Teg Shabaya Batsakai Khan is the wearer of the blue jersey for the best Asian rider in this year's tour. And so the ceremonial start for the stage, the riders rolling out. Started with a field of 150 down to approximately 140 riders. As mentioned, 22 trade teams, just the one World Tour team this year, Astana, 8 Pro Tour teams and 13 Continental teams from right around the globe. And that is just confirming those points general classifications after stage 4. Selby in that points green jersey. Hanoch Mulubran sits there in second place. So still behind the commissaire's vehicle, and now the flag does drop, and this is where you've got to make sure you've had a good warm-up, you've got your pre-stage or pre-race protocols well and truly established so that your nervous system is in a place to handle the ferocious speed at the start of a lot of these stages. So having a look at today's stage, it is another absolute beauty. You'll see the riders start out at a height of 2,202 metres. They will climb the Yangshan Bakata mountain, which will see them reach a height of 3,744 metres. Then it's a little bit of a descent, and then it's undulating terrain throughout the rest of the stage. There are King of the Mountain points up for grabs at 43.6 kilometres, 48.4. 3 sprint stages at 17.6 kilometres, 93.2 kilometres and 117 kilometres. When it's all said and done, they will finish in the town of Qinghai, where a good crowd has gathered. The crowd will certainly do appreciate their annual taste of the tour of the magnificent Qinghai province here in China. Take in some absolutely magnificent scenery. It really is just a stunning part of the world. So we are live up here at extraordinary heights, and we have a small group of riders who have basically ridden the majority of the peloton off their wheel. Those riders include Jan Castellion, the man in the yellow jersey, John Aguirre from Euskaltel Euskadi, Santiago Umba, who won the stage yesterday, and the brilliant Eduardo Sepulveda. One man has gone clear, the two-time winner of this event, the man from Eritrea, the great Hanoch Mulubran. And Astana certainly had numbers in the break, and therefore could put just a little bit of pressure on our race leader. So cool conditions at this altitude. You've got to be comfortable with your head above the clouds. And for Jan Castellion, just 22 years of age, he's 1.70 m, wearing that yellow jersey, and with that comes pressure as we go back and have a look at the first sprint stage of the morning. Valuable points up for grabs. The Irishman picking up those points. Clement Alino and Alan Bettles, the Australian, picking up a valuable point as well. This was at the top of the climb today, the Yangshan Bakata mountain. As mentioned, 2,887 metres or 12,500 feet above sea level. And you can just have a look at the absolute carnage that that hill took on the main peloton. This group of riders literally riding everybody off their wheel. Wonderful, wonderful scenes, aren't they? There is just a real romance about big mountains and mist and rain and the days that you never forget as a bike rider. Really good performance there from Darren Van Buckham as well. John Aguirre picking up another point. So an undulating terrain before they do start the descent into that finish area in the city of Qinghai. So unofficially, Hanoch Mulubran, Darren Van Buckham have tried to go up the road, have tried to establish a little bit of a break over the chasing group, trying to distance himself from the man in the yellow, Jan Castellion. The problem for Castellion is that he simply doesn't have a strong enough team around him to help him in this particular break. He rides for Qinghai Rural. They are an outstanding team, but he seems to be a little bit isolated at the moment. Now having to have a few friends in the peloton. It's the boys from Euskaltel Euskadi who continue to try and chase down the two riders from Astana. Boy, it is a tough sport. Got to have a head like granite. So a long way to go, though. So John Ageti there from Euskadi. Try and confirm the riders for you in that break. There is Hanoch Mulubran. Tell you what, I can tell you now though that he has been joined. So this is the front of the race, folks. And there we go, John Ageti, Jan Castellon. It's Castellon who is in the yellow, riding for Caja Rural, so he is covering everything being thrown, everything asked of him by the Astana team, by Hanoch Mulubran. Mulubran will be wanting to try and pick up the stage victory today, get that time bonus, and try and pull back some of the 12 seconds that he's down on GC, down on that yellow jersey. So 1 and 2 of the overall GC at the front of this bike race. At the front of stage 5. Just having to be a little bit careful. Do have the disc brakes these days versus the rubber ring brakes, of course, which means they can just handle it a little bit better, but there was an awful lot of water on the road surface. Got to be careful too of punctures, particularly if you've had a lot of dry weather. Wet weather can often just bring a little bit more grunt, a little bit more grit to the surface, and you do often see a few more punctures. This is Darren Van Becken, my apologies. So it is, in fact, the two Astana riders who have gone clear at the moment. So just confirming that for you. So it is, in fact, the two Astana boys, by the looks of it, who have now got a significant break. So this is exactly what Astana were hoping. So we'll just confirm that for you. So Hanoch Mulubran, Darren Van Becken are the two riders in front. So Jan Castellon, our race leader, isn't part of the chase group 24 seconds back. So it is game on. Astana have played this beautifully. They've obviously sat down and said, right, this is how we need to approach this stage. This is how we need to pull that 12 seconds back. Superb bike riding from the World Tour team. Just having, obviously, at the height and altitude we are at, just getting some of the information through to you. There is our race leader, in fact, from Caja Rural, sitting there in the green helmet. And that is Jan Castellon, joined by our King of the Mountains race leader, John Ageti from Euskadi. Another fellow teammate in that group as well. Eduardo Sepulveda from Leaning Star, certainly part of the group. 35 years of age, the man from Argentina. I can't imagine he'll be getting a lot of sleep. He'll probably be up watching the semi-final of the World Cup at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning China time as they take on England. You wouldn't be Argentinian, would you, if you didn't? Such is the passion for football in that part of the world. Number 61 in that group as well is Christian Bagerton from the MBH Bank CSB Telecom team. Bagerton is a metre 83, the Italian. He's just 24 years of age. Staged at the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey earlier in the year. Also picked up a stage victory back at the Grand Premio Industrie della Marmo event back in 2023. So he is a rider who has had some success over the years. Number 13 also having a very good ride indeed. That is Santiago Martin Herreno, the Colombian rider riding for Bardiani, so he's part of the group. So Christian Bagatin. Two riders have got 19 seconds at the moment. It is significant. He's okay, so we do have Mikel Biscarra there from Euskaltel Ustadi, number 53. He is the second of the Euskaltel boys. Up there with John Agedi, who still has a real opportunity to get himself into the overall GC as well. Currently sits 23 seconds back from our race leader heading into stage 5, Jan Castellon. If the race was to stop right now, our race leader would be Henoch Mulubran. Have a look at the hurt there, look at the grimace on the face. They all stand at the start line, don't they, looking like models. And once the hurt goes on and they hit altitudes here of 12,500 feet or 3,800 metres, you start to see the war face, the ugly face, the hurt face, the pain face. A whole lot of different metaphors being used over the years to describe it. But you do have to have a head like granite. I cannot tell you just how much these riders are all hurting at the moment. It'll feel like razor blades are just attacking the lungs. But he's well supported here, John Agedi, our King of the Mountains jersey. Mikel Biscarra, another one of the Spanish riders, his teammate in that group. And Biscarra, well, he's 36 years of age, a real veteran. So he's got a very experienced bike rider with him. They're going to need to be organised. Are there any deals being done in that breakaway? How well do they know each other? Is there any rider in there who's prepared to do a favour for the man who currently sits in the yellow jersey? He is going to need some help today. Jan Castellon from Caja Rural Seguros, Spanish World Pro Tour team. As we look at the two boys from Astana, boy, they've absolutely just hit our race leaders hard. Look at the rain, look at the suffering. How good is Henoch Mulubran from Eritrea? Won this race back in 2023. He won it last year again. He sits 12 seconds behind Castellon on GC. He's currently 19 seconds clear of Castellon. If he wins the stage, he'll pick up a 10-second time bonus as well. He won stage 3 2 days ago. He's an outstanding sprinter amongst the climbers. Now that little flick of the elbow. Going with the not as deep carbon rims today, so going with a shallower carbon rim in terms of depth. I'll have about 70 psi on the tyres, 28 mil across, which is considerably wider than tyres 15 or 20 years ago. And just have a look at that nice smooth pedal cadence from both riders. Interesting just to see though that Darren Van Beckham, if you just have a look at his pedal cadence, much higher than what we see from Henoch Mulubran. He likes to just spin a little bit more. Mulubran, slightly lower cadence, so it doesn't turn the pedals as many times over a minute as his fellow teammate. That all just comes down to individual physiology and your setup based on your height, based on your weight, and I guess just what feels comfortable, what allows you to be the most efficient. This bunch is sort of starting to chase. Everybody seems to be coming through, taking a turn. Really good performance here. From Mikel Biscara for Euskaltel Euskadi. Really is doing a lot of work for his team captain here, John Ageti, doing a really good job. So Martin Herreno from Bardiani is the man with the blue helmet. You can just see the peloton and the other riders also in the distance, so they're not that far back either. This race still has a possibility of coming back together. There is a downhill section to finish. Sometimes it's easier to negotiate the downhill in a small group than it is in a large peloton. But there'll also be a lot of riders from Astana in that peloton who will be doing everything they can to disrupt it, to ensure that it doesn't get organised, it doesn't start chasing down the race leaders. So 23 seconds still that gap, just hearing the race radio officially coming through as well. So the two boys from Astana doing an incredibly good job. Still a couple of little tough climbs to come, so that will certainly suit the likes of Hanok Molubrani. He's just going to need to make sure, though, that Darren Van Beckham can go with him. He'll want probably still a little bit of assistance on the other side of a couple of the climbs that are still to come. So they're heading sort of downhill at the moment, then they sort of go back up. Really from kilometres sort of 70 through to approximately 105 kilometres is sort of undulation. Up, a little bit of downhill, and then it peaks again at around about the 105 kilometre mark, and then pretty much it's predominantly downhill through to the finish line. Look at the grimace. It is cold up here. It is almost basically 1 degree. You've got to realise just how high they are. This is basically the highest altitude stage race in the world. There's an event that is held up in the Himalayas as well. Between the two of them, you've got to be very comfortable with your head above the clouds indeed. Be talking to each other, reassuring. They'll all be all the riders will be having moments where they'll be feeling quite good. And they'll have some little patches where maybe they're not feeling as good. As we look back at the peloton, still trying to chase down the group in front of them, and that group will also include Emmanuel Bookman, a man who finished 4th at the Tour de France back in 2019, currently sits 2nd on GC. He's in there. The one man that too you'd expect to be in that group is Eric Fagundes from Burgos. Very good bike rider. 2nd in this race back in 2023. Burgos always well represented. The likes of Clement Elino. They've got Cesar Messias, young Mexican rider. Muhawi Kudus, the African Continental Road Racing Champion. Another rider from Eritrea, and of course Rodrigo Alvarez, who make up that Burgos team. There's 202 just sitting there nicely, just getting a little bit of assistance from the team vehicle. And then there's Jonathan Casado from the World Top Roader Chengdu team, who was our yellow jersey holder after stage 3, lost that jersey yesterday, did everything he could to try and retain it, but just didn't simply have a team strong enough to really support him. Another rider there from the Bardiani team, Luca Cavilli. Just trying to get out, just shake the legs off a little bit. Every opportunity to use a slightly different muscle group will give those big muscles that you tend to, the quads and stuff that you tend to use the majority of in the seated position, just a little bit of a rest. ago, probably 10 years ago, that most of the riders still had rubber ring brakes. These days we see the disc brakes. Obviously rim brakes very easy. Cheap brake pads, simple cable replacement. That was sort of, I guess, the pros of the good old days. The cons, well, if the rims are wet, they don't tend to grip as well. And the grit on the tyres can act a little bit like sandpaper. Disc brakes, the rotor is in the built-in. Wheels last a lot longer. Shorter stopping distances, better emergency braking, more predictable control. As we have a look at Santiago Umba, a significant player yesterday in this bike race. Umba ended up winning the stage, and what a breakthrough performance was for him from the Solution Tech Nipo Rally team. It also moved him up significantly on GC. Currently sitting 12th, and at 1 minute 50 back on our yellow jersey holder, Jan Castellon. And there is Eric Fagundes, desperately trying to get him back to that lead group. He probably feels like he's good enough, deserves to be in that group. You can just have a look at the conditions up here. Not just wet, but incredibly cold, as we have a look at Emmanuel Buchmann, the man who was second on GC. What a performance from him yesterday too. He rode to the top of the Zongailis mountain, 3,823 metres, hung with the big boys on that. When I say that, he is a veteran, of course, fourth in the Tour de France back in 2019, so he's a wonderful bike rider, but then absolutely just left that group of quality bike riders, joined Santiago Umba, Jan Castellon, formed a group of three, and really just a remarkable performance where the likes of Henoch Mouloubran, the likes of Jonathan Cathido, Eric Fagundes, John Argetti just never really got organised in the chase. Looking at each other, you come through, no, you come through, and in those moments of hesitation, it really just did set the stage up for Santiago Umba and Jan Castellon, Emmanuel Buchmann. It was an outstanding stage and just a real demonstration that, you know, breakaways can win stages. A little bit of belief and a little bit of luck, and that's what we saw yesterday. Astana, well, I'd imagine last night they probably had a good look at themselves and thought, hey, how are we now 12 seconds back on GC when we had an opportunity to shut those three riders down, set up the sprint and put this man right here in the yellow jersey.
Naar die tweede. Zakken. Even erachter.
Good helicopter shot here, just showing us the distance between the groups. Two race leaders, then a significant group of five, including our yellow jersey wearer, our King of the Mountains jersey holder. And then a group who are trying to ride up to them, which includes Eric Fagundes, includes Emmanuel Buchmann. Now, if that group behind can join this group of five, it's going to be incredibly hard for Henoch Mouloubran and his fellow teammate Darren van Beckham, the Dutch rider, to stay away, because the peloton will become significant, and it is a unique set of physics that play out in the peloton. The riders at the front generally pull the riders behind push the riders at front if there is enough critical mass, And once it decides to shut down a group, it doesn't take long, but it does require a significant amount of riders and a group of riders and teams who are prepared to do the chasing, who are prepared to do the work. Of course, Astana, if they've got any riders in that back group, they'll be doing everything they can to prevent that from happening. Coming through to the front, soft pedalling, possibly encouraging fellow countrymen and other teams not to work either. Might be a few deals done. But you do just have to be, boy, you've got to be tough. You've got to be comfortable with your head above the clouds. Brand, not the smoothest bike rider, tends to rock a little bit, but he's obviously got a very good cycling economy, very efficient. As we have a look at the rapeseed up here, the yellow flower that you see throughout this region, used for canola oil. These vast plains with almost nomadic lifestyle. So still 60.5 kilometres to go, but out to 1:02 now. So that is significant for the Astana boys. Really, really good team performance from them. Well thought out strategy. Knew just how tough the first part of the stage was going to be today. Really, from the moment they left the town of Gita, first 45 kilometres was predominantly uphill. And they were going to go from a height of 2,202 metres up to a height of 3,744. They really just hit the peloton hard. They really just tightened the screws. They said to our race leader, if you want to keep your yellow jersey, you're going to need to come after us. And Jan Castellion, unfortunately for him, just didn't have enough in his Qinghai rural team to answer the question being asked of these two in front. And now he finds himself 1:09 down, and he's slowly watching his yellow jersey ride away from him. But as I said, there's still a long way to go. There's still a couple of big groups on the road that could all come together, and the whole dynamic changes again. It'll be interesting to see how many of the Qinghai rural riders are in that. If you include these two riders, the third group on the road, trying to chase down the group of 5 who are directly behind these two. And then it will be up to Qinghai Rural to really do the work on the front, to try and defend the yellow jersey that they hold at the moment. Remarkable scenery. It is a country that is just so vast. A lot of yak, sheep, goats. As I said, a very nomadic lifestyle up in this part of the world. You've got to be brought up just a little bit tough. You've got to be incredibly resilient. And now they know just this nasty little climb that they're on again, just another one of these rises. They've got to try and keep the power on here. They cannot afford to fade. To try and maintain the power through the entire 360 degrees of that pedal motion. Hold the form. They'll know in their minds whatever goes up at some point needs to start to come down. They'll be getting time checks. They are on a mission, these two. They are well and truly into the hurt box, folks. And now look at the carnage behind. So it does, in fact, look like maybe that group of 5 riders has now been joined by the second chase group on the road. We'll confirm that for you shortly. That is, in fact, the situation. And it just doesn't look very organised, doesn't it? As long as they are looking at each other, this benefits the 2 riders from Astana. They've got to get organised. They've got to get almost one line going. The team's pursuit, the pain train, as I affectionately call it. So 2 riders looking to try and ride away on their own now. One of the riders from Qinghai Rural is there. It is our man in the yellow jersey. So, young Castellon has said, hey, look, come on, guys. My greatest rival is up the road. I'm watching him ride away. I need somebody to help me. Looking over their shoulders, urging some of the other riders in this group to come through, do their work, take a turn. It's in everybody's best interests. And that invitation's not been accepted at the moment, though, and it is very, very disorganised. So a rider that we do have there is from the MBH Bank CSB Telecom 4 team. Might be Christian Bagattini, the Italian, who was working with Jan Castellon. Right, some of the wildlife just been spooked by a helicopter team. Or simply been inspired by the riders, race within the race. Now looking in that group, just having a look at the riders in this group at the moment, we'll try and confirm them for you. Does in fact look like Christian Rodriguez there from Astana, so he'll just be acting as a bit of a policeman in this bunch. Now we're looking at Eric Fagundes looking to try and get up the road, are we? Not 100% sure just yet, very hard to just pick up some of the numbers. But as long as they are disorganised and disjointed like they are at the moment, that is just playing into the hands of our two race leaders. And Heinok Mulubrand, well, if he was to win the stage and it was to start at a minute 20, still even with a further 3 stages to go, he'd be a very, very hard rider to beat, knowing that he's already won the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai back in 2023, and of course the defending champion from 2025. But it is cold, not a lot of wind, but incredibly wet. As we pan up the road and get a pretty good idea of the gap in terms of distance. Really important they get that nutrition right, even the hydration side of it. When you get to the level of being a professional bike rider, it's almost automatic, but they would have done a lot of training. They'll know exactly how many calories they'll need to be consuming every hour, every half an hour. They'll have that best set up for them. It's not a sport where you ever want to get hungry. Normally by the time you get the food into you, you have basically popped glycogen depletion, and it is one of the worst feelings in any sport you can experience when you pop on a bicycle. You can just see both these athletes just fighting their machines at the moment on another tough little climb where oxygen depletion is at its highest. Oxygen deprivation, I should say. Burning a lot of matches, both these athletes, but they'll also know it's a really good run through to the finish. At some point it's going to come down to really good bike handling skills in the wet conditions to be able to put it into their biggest and hardest gears and hit speeds of probably around about 80 kilometres an hour. We'll have to be mindful though in the wet conditions. We were lucky enough to drive the stage yesterday, a lot of road sweepers out, a lot of people cleaning the grid off the road, ensuring that it was at a level of riders of this calibre to ensure that outside factors didn't really play a major part in the outcome of this race. Just have a look at the gear ratios there. So you can see really big climbing gear on the back of this chasing group, so they are going uphill as well. And there is Eric Fagundes, Our man in the yellow. He's got a very, very good bike rider in Fagundes. Knows how to do well in bike races. Christian Bagattini, the Italian from the MBH Bank CSB Telecom 4 team there. Number 61. Eric Fagundes, number 24, the man from Uruguay, has ridden the Giro d'Italia, has won a number of Grand Tours. Okay, and Jonathan Cathido is there as well, man who did wear the yellow jersey after stage 3. There's a group of quality bike riders now in this chase. Just the 4 of them, though. They will need to work together if they are to catch Heinok Mulubrand and his fellow teammate, the Dutchman, Darren van Beckham. This really is a courageous performance from Astana. Gutsy. Boy, they hit this group hard on one of the big climbs. Shorter stage today, but the altitude deprivation, only 100. In fact, the stage today, just the, I shouldn't say just, but 135.5 kilometres. But it's at such high levels of altitude, so it might probably feel like they're riding 250 kilometres a day when it's all said and done. They just hit this group hard at the start. They clearly had a plan. They said, look, let's just take this race by the scruff of the neck. Let's just see what they can do. We believe we've got the best team here. We believe we've got the best climbers. Let's put the pressure on Qinghai Rural. Let's ask them questions early, see if they can answer. How high, how fast, how hard. And so far, and in the yellow jersey, well, might be a little bit unfair, but Jan Castellon simply hasn't been able to answer. He just simply hasn't had a team of riders around him to help him. What a performance from these two. It would be nice if Heinok Mulubrand, if it was to stay together, gave the stage to Emmanuel Bookman, but we're talking about the yellow jersey. We're talking about 10-second time bonuses. I think he'll be under instructions to hand it to Mulubrand, who is easily the better sprinter of the two anyway. If it was to come down to a little bit of a handshake, okay. Let's see who can win this on their own right, 300 metres out. Just following in the slipstream there. Interesting, get anywhere up to about a 25 to 30% drag coefficient. That is energy saved just by sitting back there on the wheel. It's amazing just how much you can recover by sitting on the wheel of another bike rider. So 53.8 kilometres remain of this race. Really be around another 30 kilometres or so before they probably can just enjoy that run through to the finish line. A few more little undulations to come. But so far things are playing out for the boys from Astana. This chase group, how organised are they? How much do they believe? I like the work being done here by Christian Bagattini. He's a big man. Fagundes looking comfortable, just taking some time to get out of that seat, just trying to recover just a little bit more. Got a rider there from the Wheeltop Rota Chengdu team, and of course that was the man who was in the yellow jersey at the end of stage 3. And I tell you what, they're absolutely delighted, the director sportifs for Wheeltop Rota Chengdu, to get their man Jonathan Casado in the yellow jersey, even if it was only for a day. He has shown his quality, he has shown his class. Remember, he doesn't have a particularly strong team of climbers with him, so he's pretty much had to ride this tour on his own. And like Astana, have had that ability to have that 1, 2, 3, 4 punch at times. That is a brutal sport, but there is a romance about it too. It's that ability to want to wake up every day and challenge yourself at the highest level, I think, is what the appeal is for a lot of people. There's always been that sense of adventure throughout the history of mankind, whether it be discovering countries, conquering oceans. With so much of that now having been done, I think sport maybe is a form of exploration for a lot of these riders in terms of discovering a little bit about yourself and going to those places everybody's fears going to. But you've got to be comfortable. You've got to know how to hurt. You've got to know how to suffer. As I like to say, you lock yourself in the hurt box, you throw the key away, and you see who can stay there the longest. And at some point, someone will wave the white flag and say, you know what, second is good enough today. Go, the man who leads the Astana team and has ridden brilliantly so far this week too, Christian Rodriguez. He is doing a superb job too, acting as a bit of a policeman on some of those chase groups. Knowing those two boys from Astana are up the road. Oh, great thing about the wider tyres and the lower PSI these days, they do just grip the road a lot better, a lot easier in the wet. A lot more tyre on the road surface. Makes the ride a lot softer too, which means there is less vibration going through the bikes, less vibration going through the body, which means that you fatigue less. And if you're trying to gain an understanding of that, it's a bit like the vibrations running through your body all day. It's a bit like you rubbing your hands together and you can feel the warmth. Well, that warmth requires energy, and that means that you're cutting into your glycogen and your energy supplies to generate that warmth. And so with the lack of vibrations or are reduced with the softer rides these days and less vibration going through the body, it does mean that you are basically conserving a lot more energy than maybe riders historically who used to be on the thinner tyres and the higher PSI in the tyres and the harder tyres and used to sit there all day and pretty much feel like they're riding over cobblestones. So 61.1 kilometres an hour, so a nice little flat, slightly downhill stretch here. Just going a little bit further forward on the seat there too is Darren Van Beckham, and that often tends to be a little bit more of a time trial position. You can use your hamstrings a bit more than your glutes as we have a look at that pedal cadence there and that motion of Hanoch Mulubrand. Just puts the hand up, says, look, I need the vehicles to come through. Wouldn't mind just a little bit more food, something to eat, something to drink perhaps. Interesting to see that Hanoch Mulubrand prefers to ride a little bit higher up on the hoods. And we've got Darren Van Beckham sitting down there on the drop bars. Again, it's just individuals, what feels comfortable, what allows you to maximise your efficiency. So 50 kilometres to go. Still a few more rises, still a lot of wet weather. Things will clear up when they do eventually drop into the town here of Gongja. A couple of little gnarly climbs to come though. That will certainly test them. Mulubrand here, they don't want to get too give up too much time. Not easy to put the jacket on here, but we'll just lose a little bit of time to that chase group in doing so. They also know, though, they've got to stay warm. They've got to be able to concentrate. And so Mulubran here, is he in trouble? Or is he just trying to get himself comfortable and therefore maximise his final effort through to the finish line? So 1 minute and 4 seconds is the official. So over a minute has just come through from the race radio officially in regards to this group and the group behind. So just a chance here for the Astana boys to regather. Won't be panicked at the moment. Just get themselves organised. I'd imagine the riders in the chase group might have to do a similar thing if they haven't already got their jackets on, but look at the urgency coming here now. They've absolutely chucked the gauntlet down. You can see the contrast in speeds between the chase group and our leading group. And now then it just starts to lose a little bit of its cohesion again. As another one of the riders drops back, and it is our race leader, the man in the yellow jersey at the moment, Jan Castellon, the Spanish rider, who's just taking a bit of food from the service car. And in doing so, they just lose a little bit of their impetus. Just pull up the road and let's just have a look at that distance. Boys from Astana will get themselves reorganised very quickly. A little bit of a break. Just got to be careful once they do start to come into sight. It does give them a little bit of a target. 35 seconds is the gap, so looking good here for our race leader, Jean Castellon. He knows that if they can just shut it down, there's a good chance he'll stay in that yellow jersey. Even if he was to lose 6 or 7 seconds to Hanoch Mulubran if it did come down to a sprint. He currently has a lead of 12 seconds over him, so it would be enough to hang on. Eric Fagundes, though, the big dark horse from the Burgos team, sitting there comfortably, number 24. Still riding brilliantly too is Christian Bagatton, the Italian rider from MBH Bank CSB Telecom. So Jonathan Cathito also in that chase group, number 202. Now, these boys will go back into absolutely time trial mode here. They will look at opportunities to rest a little bit. So 40 seconds is the official time gap between these two and the group of 4 riders behind. So still significant. Absolutely just maximising and spinning as fast and as hard as he can. There's the big man on the front, Christian Bagatton. You can just see that really. Bike riding, it's all about the hardest gear you've got. Trying to turn it as quickly as you can. High cadence, biggest gear, get the 2 of those right. You're not going to lose too many bike races as we're about to come up and approach another one of the sprint stages. And that sprint coming at 93.2 kilometres. So really just the 1 point up for grabs here with the 2 boys from Astana. Already will automatically pick up first and second points for that third sprint of the day. There's still one more final sprint, which will come at 117 kilometres. Now Eric Fagundes. Beautiful to watch, isn't it? In that time trial tuck position. Aerodynamic helmets, right down to the clothing. They spend a lot of time indoors in the wind tunnels, working out what the best setup is. You've got to be comfortable is the first thing. Doesn't matter how aerodynamic you are. If you're not comfortable and can't maintain the position, or there's no point doing it. So it's about trying to find the best position at the highest level of comfort so that you can maximise getting over the top of your gears. Just about a kilometre to go to the top of for this sprint. The two now do look very organised again. There's just a little bit of food and couldn't quite consume that. It could just be simply some candy, or in certain parts of the world what they describe as lollies, just something sweet, something that's got high calories in it, something that just tastes good, just to give them a little bit of relief. It is a tough day mentally, and sometimes any relief you can get. And I think they'll just let Mouloubrun pick up the sprint points here, which might just be heading into today. Just having a look at the sprint jersey, Heinrich Mouloubrun was 4 points behind Alexander Selby. So that is starting to close up a lot too. So Mouloubrun, if he continues doing what he's doing, could end up in the green jersey by the end of the day, but ultimately he'd love to be in the yellow jersey. Now we do just see that group coming through too, so I think they will end up catching the two boys from Astana. We could end up having a group of 6. And if that is the case, that's got to be good for our race leader in Jan Castellon, the Spanish rider from Caja Rural. What he'll be mindful of is Heinrich Mouloubrun's sprint. Mouloubrun wins the stage, he will pick up a 10-second time bonus. Second will be 6 seconds, third will be 4 seconds. What Mouloubrun will be hoping, if it does come together, that somehow he can prevent Jan Castellon from finishing inside the top 3 if it does come down to a sprint, and therefore pulling the margin back to just 2 seconds heading into stage 6. A lot of credit must be given to this man on the given to this big man here on the front, Christian Bagattin, the Italian. "24 years of age is Bagattin. 1.83 m, so he's a tall athlete. So he'll have a slightly different, he'll be used to pushing maybe some slightly bigger gears. Mind you, he does spin well, does have a really nice high cadence. And now our race leader asking for more from this group of 3, this group of 4. Eric Fagundes knows it's in his best interest to try and get up there to the boy, the man from Burgos. Boy, he was unlucky back in 2023 to lose the tour by less than a second in the finish. Mouloubrun ended up jumping him in a sprint in the final stage into the town of Checa and managed to get a gap on him. The boys from Burgos argued that it was a bunch finish. Officials said no, it wasn't, and it was enough to give Heinrich Mouloubrun his first victory here in the tour of magnificent Qinghai. Okay, it's about to come together very shortly. This is the chase group that are chasing, this is the third group on the road by the looks of it. So these guys are 1 minute and 5 seconds back at the moment as we have a look at John Agedi there in the polka dot jersey. We'll also see Emmanuel Buchmann, who came into today second on GC. There he is, the Cofidis colours. Got a rider there from the 7-Eleven team. And I think also in that group, a minute back, is the leader of the Astana team. And that is Christian Rodriguez. So one more little climb to come. And then they get a lovely little downhill section. So Jan Castellion has picked up the other points available in that sprint. These two finishing first and second in that third sprint points category of the day at 93.2 kilometres. The next one will come at 117, which is about 17 kilometres there or thereabouts out from the finish. Not sure they're overly concerned by that at the moment. I mean, Moulibrand would love to pick up points there as well, and that would then put him into the green jersey. He really wants the yellow jersey, though. When you've won this race twice, I'd imagine, knowing the mentality and mindset of Heinrich Moulibrand, he'd probably consider second as failure. Might be a bit tough, but that's what often how these athletes measure themselves. So, group is about to come together. Just confirming the points there. So Moulibrand picking up 5, Van Beeken picking up 3, Castellon picking up the 1 point. And so 2 is about to become 6. And these 6, you would imagine, will ultimately sort out this stage. So it's been a gutsy, courageous effort from Astana, but it's also been incredibly courageous from the group of 4 riders behind. And just Christian Bageting deserves a lot of the credit for it. The man riding for the MBH Bank CSB Telecom 14. Give the boys from Astana a little bit of an opportunity to have a bit of a break here. I'll tell you what, there will be a real sense of relief, though, from the man in the green helmet who's about to jump onto the back wheel of Heinrich Moulibrand, Jan Castellon, because suddenly it's all back together. And if the race was to stop right now, he'd still be the leader of the yellow jersey. And now the big Italian says, hey, I'm not finished yet. So Christian Bageting continues now to launch off the front. This man's certainly having his day-to-day. He is just over the top of his gears. He is just bulletproof at this point. And that can be the sport at times. You have so many bad days, and then you just wake up that one day and you go, for whatever reason, everything comes together and everything feels easy. The other riders, well, you can wake up some days and you feel like you're constantly maybe riding through quicksand, or feels like your brakes are permanently on. You can just not find any rhythm. So that is that group. What a group it is. Moulibrand, Van Beeken, Fagundes, Castellon, Bageting and Cathito. Superb. They are really much the board of directors in this race, aren't they? Moulibrand, the chairman of the board historically. The challenges are coming. It'll be a stunning, stunning performance. If this man here, Christian Bageting, can stay away and go on and win the stage. Long way to go yet. And he's got an opportunity, because really it'll be a case of Moulibrand looking at Jan Castellon and saying, everywhere you go, I'm going to go. Moulibrand officially 14 seconds back. He'll want to try and win the stage, win the 10-second time bonus, somehow prevent Jan Castellon from picking up a top 3 finish on the stage, and therefore no time bonus. He's fighting his machine a bit. You can see him really just gripping those drop bars up. So Christian Bageting, he is absolutely on fire. The man who wears number 61. Yeah, there's Bageting there. It's not Samuel Fernandez. This is in fact number 61, the big Italian for MBH Bank CSB Telecom. Look at him go, he's got the bit between his teeth, isn't he? He is absolutely on fire. Wonderful performance from him. You can't coach this, folks. This inherent quality, this ability to do what he's doing at this altitude. Superb performance from him. And it's pretty much an all-Italian team. So Cesar Cesini is a member of that team as well. Diego Bracalenti. Lorenzo Nespoli is another member of that team. Lorenzo Massiarelli, another one of the Italians, part of the MBH Bank CSB Telecom 14. Now they'll go into the tunnel here. These tunnels, just remarkable feats of engineering up here in northwestern China. Unbelievable what they can do. Beautiful roads, beautiful engineering. It's got a significant gap. Has Bagatine. So Hainok Mulubran now just sitting back, having a little bit of a break. He'll want to just give himself a bit of a rest here. He's having a chat to the yellow jersey holder, his greatest rival at the moment in this year's race, Castellon. Eric Fagundes is on the front of that group. But what a performance this would be if Christian Bagatine can end up and going on and winning this stage. Not a rider too many people were talking about before the start of the day, as we have a look at Otto van Zanden from the Azeri and Villa Valkenburg team. And they're number one for Astana. Christian Rodriguez, wonderful bike rider. Rodriguez, he won the Tour of Rwanda back in 2021. He's 31 years of age, the Astana man out of Spain. Finished second on GC in the Tour of Oman earlier in the year, which is a wonderful result in its own right, one of the big early season races. He'll be riding for his two boys up the road. He'll be acting as a policeman. He won't necessarily be coming through and taking any turns, and if he does, probably soft pedaling. It's his best interest to keep Emmanuel Bookman here from advancing too far up the road. They know the quality of bike rider that he is. Equally, this man, what a remarkable bike rider he is. And of course is John Agedi. Agedi with the King of the Mountains jersey on his shoulders underneath that orange jacket at the moment. Inside of one of these long tunnels. I just like what I'm seeing here from this man here, Christian Bagatine. He just looks so smooth, beautiful, relaxed upper body, no head movement. The form looks good, high pedal cadence, what we'd call a high aerobic state. So I could answer a few questions as asked of him, but a really concentrated effort. He's over the top of his machine, I often say it. And if you're wondering whether the bike riders are in trouble, don't look at the facial expressions, look at the form. Start to notice bike riders leaning a little bit on harder gears, so the pedal cadence, the speed of it just tends to drop off a little bit. You start to see a little bit more upper body and shoulder movement. Shoulders start to just maybe rise up towards the head a bit more. You see riders changing their gears a lot more. That's generally a sign of fatigue. You'll see a lot of athletes who will naturally have just that pain face on. Others will look like they're playing a game of poker, showing nothing, giving nothing, but you know, internally are in a world of trouble. Interesting hand movement here from Darren Van Beek. We've seen a lot from him, the Astana rider. Just wonder whether he's got a bit of numbness or something in the fingers, just trying to shake it out. Has been cold, a lot of squeezing of the brakes. And there it is, light at the end of the tunnel. might just let him go today. They might just let this man have one of the great performances in the history of this race if he can hang on. Because he has just jumped from group to group today. Had to endure a really, really tough climb early on. We saw the riders today having to go up the Yangshan Bakata Mountain, 21.7 kilometres in length, average gradient 5.1%. They started the day at 2,202 metres, and by the time they got to the top of the Yangshan Bakata Mountain, or what they simply call as the nature reserve, they get up to a height of 3,744. So he's endured all of that. He looks incredibly comfortable. He's jumped from group to group. He was a major player in terms of bringing our race leader up to, well, bringing our race leader, Jan Castellon, up to the wheel of Henoch Mulubran and the other Astana rider, Darren Van Beckham. And I'd imagine that if Jan Castellon goes on and wins the 25th edition of the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai, he would owe a lot to this man here on screen. He does describe himself as a climber. Bagatin, not much of a sprinter. He was 6th yesterday in stage 4. So still that time out to 50 seconds. And now it looks like Eric Fagundes might have just gone off the front, is it? No, Fagundes is still there. So I think it is the man who wore the yellow jersey on day 3 who has decided to go up the road a little bit. Jonathan Cathito, the man, the Colombian, riding for World Top Road, a Chengdu team. And he is a danger, so they won't want to let him go as they start to descend. They still have a few more climbs to go, but it is predominantly downhill from here. And don't underestimate too the ability of a good descender. We often see in cycling, everyone assumes that the bike race or the stage is going to be won with attacks on the climb, but you can also hit riders hard on the downhill. Don't like the look here of Henoch Mulubran. He just looks like that wheel just almost sliding out from underneath him. This looks like he's got the speed wobbles. Hopefully nothing wrong technically with the bike or mechanically wrong with the bike. It'd be great to just get an idea. 78 up to 80 kilometres an hour. And this is where you just basically chuck down your biggest chainring on the front, your smallest cog at the back, and you just put the hammer down and try and get the biggest cadence you can. So now he is in the hurt box. He is absolutely, literally at this point breathing through his eyelids. You can see just the moisture coming off his face. His nose is starting to drip. Heart rate is high. And he's just saying to himself, right, let's just break this next 28 kilometres down. Let's just break it down in small pieces, piece by piece. Maintain that concentration. Beautiful road surface, downhill. We can just see how much it is spread out. So really good performance coming here though from Jonathan Cathito. Absolutely hitting the rest of the riders on the downhill section. Big question is, where is Henoch Mulubran in comparison to Jan Castellon, our current race leader, 1 and 2 on GC. And now it does start to come together. So there it is, Castellon sitting right there on the wheel of Mulubran. In the front of these 3 riders, the dark blue rain jacket, man from Eritrea. And you can just see that little uphill rise coming again. That'll be what we call a false flat. It'll look, won't actually feel particularly hard for the riders. It looks probably a lot worse on television camera. It's predominantly flat, just a slight uphill rise. And it's pretty much all downhill through the finish after that. Just a chance to relax, and Mulubran will be backing himself as Castellon continues to, in fact this is Cathito, Jonathan Cathito just continuing to hit it. Beautiful bike rider, isn't he? Look at that. Really nice, smooth pedal cadence. Beautiful form. Nice and aerodynamic considering he's set up on a road bike. As the rest of them look to come through. Eric Fagundes is there by the looks of it. In that aero tuck position. Just deciding to have a little bit of a break. Allowing gravity to do the work for him. Man from Burgos. We are looking at Eric Fagundes, number 24 from Burgos. Nice little, almost in a time trial setup, isn't he? And now the rest of them coming through. We will see Hanoch Mulubran, his fellow teammate alongside of him, who has been a wonderful lieutenant for him all day. That is Darren Van Beckham, and now currently sitting on there with the green helmet is our man in the yellow jersey. So Jan Castellon. So Mulubran somehow at the end of this stage needs to try and win the stage, pick up the 10-second time bonus and prevent this man from finishing inside the top 3 on the stage. And we'll head into stage 6 tomorrow with approximately 4 seconds separating the two. Dropping back, having a chat to his team boss, his number 133, Li Qinghai of the Rouge Insurance Windspace team. In fact, my apologies, it is our man in the blue jersey. It is our best Asian rider on the road. That is Bot Khan, a man from Mongolia. Very, very good bike rider. He's certainly a rider coming from Mongolia who's comfortable with his head above the clouds. Tekshabai Batsakan, the man here on screen, did win the Tour of Thailand back in 2023. He won the Tour of Boston League in 2024. He's won stages in the Tour of Thailand as well. He's the national champion of Mongolia back in 2025, so national champion of his country in 2025, and 28 years of age. Manuel Buchmann on the front for Cofidis. Johnny Getty there, the team leader for Euskaltel Euskadi. Sits in the polka dot jersey. Yeah, being supported beautifully by a man out of the Mentec team, number 86 on the road. In fact, it is, my apologies, it's the Team Poldi Visma rider, and that is David Baez, the Italian. So Baez riding incredibly well. Very, very strong team, Team Poldi Visit Malta. Manuel Pineva. Very good bike rider, very good sprinter, has won stages previously, won the first stage last year actually at the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai in the downtown streets of Xining, the capital of this particular province in China. But interesting still to see, Jonathan Cathito has gone off the front of these 4 chasers, hanging him out a little bit at the moment. I'd imagine these 4 will pull him back in. Unless he really believes that perhaps he can ride up to Christian Baguetin, the Italian. And what is going through the mind of this man? 23 kilometres ago. It's basically a time trial for him. Boy, he is suffering. Bonfire's just in the legs at the moment. He's questioning everything. He says, why am I doing this to myself? Why did I choose this sport? I'd imagine he's had probably a lot of bad days in his career where he's questioned himself, just even on his ability. Am I good enough? And then you get a day like today where suddenly it all comes together. And I know the crowd down here at the finish line all urging him on, hoping that he can stay away, hoping he can win this stage, because bike racing is about these stories. And you can just have a look there, so that'll either be a 10 or 11, that's the number of teeth on that little cog as part of that cluster that he will be in. And he'll be, his biggest chainring on the front will be a 56. So that gear ratio that he's running will be a 56-10. If he was to go into a slightly easier gear, he'd probably go into a 56-11, 12, then a 13, 14, 15, 16, what we call a straight block, and then it'll have some climbing gears, which could be anywhere from 27, 28 or 29. And he'll have a smaller chainring on the front as well that he can drop into. So it's all about gear ratios. Then you work that in with your cadence, the number of times you turn the pedals in a minute, and you then look at your power meter, how many watts you're pushing every time you turn the pedals. Throw your heart rate in, and you've got these 4 little data points that you're trying to basically find that maximise that level of comfort, but at the same time maximising speed and power. So it's hard, the old oxygen. Basically, the higher you go, the less oxygen available. It's interesting, though, that the higher you go, that the amount of oxygen is still the same at 21%, but the air pressure is lower, so each breath delivers fewer oxygen molecules to the muscles. That's the basic science behind it. So anything around 1,000 metres, not so noticeable. 1,500 metres, performance begins to decline. 2,000 metres, aerobic performance noticeably reduced. 2,500 metres, significant impact on endurance. And when you get above 3,000 metres, very challenging for any endurance athlete. Anything above 4,000 metres, and well, I'll tell you what, severe physiological stress, and we are in stage 7, going to hit 4,000 metres on one of the climbs. Then you throw the fact that these athletes are racing each other. They've all got slightly different physiological makeups, and it's not a sport for the faint-hearted, making this one of the great feats of human endurance, the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. Look at him, beautifully positioned. Tall man, coming just a little bit further on that seat. Still beautiful pedal cadence. No upper body movement. Says to me that he's okay. Just got to remember that he still eats and drinks. Even though he is dialed in, I'd imagine that he really took that opportunity earlier on to get as many calories as he can, so that he then could focus on what he is trying to do. He would have had it in his mind that he was going to attack the group once they did catch the two race leaders, the two boys from Astana in Heinok Mulubran and Darren Van Beckham. Once he did do that, he's just absolutely gone for it, and it's paid dividends. And the advantage that he's got is that the likes of Mulubran, well, they're just only really concerned at this point by the man in yellow, the race leader, Jan Castellon. And Castellon really probably only concerned with what Heinok Mulubran is doing. So the fact they're looking at each other, I think they're more than happy at the moment to let Christian Bagatine go up the road. But Mulubran will want to win the stage. He'll want the 10-second time bonus. Is there enough buy-in from the other riders on the road to chase this down? You see a few more other riders now just looking to try and join the group. So we're about to possibly see a group of riders catch our race leader, catch Heinok Mulubran. And so what was a group of 5 chasing our outright stage leader, Christian Bargatin, could end up being a group of maybe 9 or 10, which again changes the dynamic. Need to find out who the riders are in there. But I do like what we are seeing here from this man, Jonathan Carcedo, the man from Colombia. So this will give us a really good idea of just what the gap is, with 18.8 kilometres to go. Mulubran wants to win the stage. He wants the 10-second time bonus. He's the best sprinter amongst the group at the front of this bike race. Jonathan Carcedo just dropping maybe Boy, what a bike race. Ouch. These riders are suffering. Oxygen deprivation. What is going through the mind of this man? Look at the heart in him. Can't coach this, folks. This is inherent quality. There's an old saying, it's the athlete who's prepared to suffer the most that wins the bike race. Very rarely does a rider not suffer, or very rarely is a rider that wins a bike race that hasn't suffered to some degree. So have a look at that setup. Those wider tyres there on the front. Have a lot of air pressure in them today. Still good smooth pedal cadence. Still looks comfortable. You'll just be hoping that that group behind them just aren't that organised. So here we go. So we've got 8 riders, and between these 8 riders and our race leader, we still have Jonathan Cathito as well. So that's having a look there. We've got 3 riders from Astana, which certainly helps Hanoch Mulubran having 3 riders there. He can get his Astana team to get that pain train going, to get them organised, to try and set it up, to try and pull back our stage leader, Christian Baguetin, if they decide they want to do it. They can also try and disrupt the sprint here, prevent our man in the yellow jersey from finishing in the top 3, reducing that time gap that Mulubran is down on our yellow jersey leader, Jan Castellion. It's 14 seconds at the moment. Mulubran wins the stage. Castellion doesn't get inside the top 3. It'll be down to 4. There he is, the 2-time champion, the man from Eritrea, where sport is just, well, it's almost a religion over there in a sporting sense. It's a good run down through to the finish. The town of Gita. Really good ride here, coming from Jonathan Cathito, the Colombian. He currently sits 12 seconds back on the yellow jersey. So he sits there alongside of Hanoch Mulubran. Mulubran currently sitting 3rd on the yellow jersey standings. If Cathito is able to ride up and join our stage leader, Christian Baguetin, it is going to put a huge amount of pressure on that chase group. He could move himself back into the yellow jersey if they stay clear. The 3 Astana riders in this group will not allow that to happen, you would think. But what are the fatigue levels like? How much has the lack of oxygen had on all of these riders? How much is that brutal first climb of the day up the Yunshang Bakata mountain had on these riders? Remember, they started the stage today at 2,202 metres. Within 49 kilometres, they had a height of 3,744 metres. And then it's pretty much been at 3,400 metres for the rest of the stage. So we are talking 11,500 to 12,500 feet. So yes, Astana have 3 riders in this group. Yes, they have the ability to chase down Jonathan Cathito. They have the ability to chase down our stage leader, Christian Baguetin. But do they have the energy? Do they have the fuel to do it? And at what point do they start to do it? It's also now sits on the shoulders of our yellow jersey leader, Jan Castillon. If they let Jonathan Cathido go, he will give up the yellow jersey. It will be Cathido who will wear it heading in to stage 6. 13.2 kilometres. So many chapters still to be written over the next 10 to 15 minutes. So many cards still to be played. It is going to be a beauty, folks. Here we go, coming down to almost that 10-kilometre mark. That's when things do change mentally. Jonathan Cathido, the Colombian, wore the yellow jersey after stage 3. A little bit reminiscent of what we saw yesterday when Jan Castillon attacked and the bunch really just sat back and looked at him and finished second in the stage, but got clear and found himself in the yellow jersey. Well, has this man here ambushed them as well? Is he going to pull it off by just being courageous, by just simply taking a chance, by just preparing to put himself in the hurt box, go to a place few are prepared to go to? The torture chamber. Ouch. Just got to keep going. You just never ever want to hear the song The Piano Man by Billy Joel playing in your ear, because that generally means you're in trouble, and before you know it, a piano lands on your back, and if you're not careful, the whole damn orchestra. So I'm not sure that he is necessarily going to have the ability to catch the man leading the stage in Christian Bagating, but will he get enough time over the likes of Mulu Brand for Gundes, young Castillon, to still take that yellow jersey? Fascinating, wonderful race. Not looking quite as smooth now, but we are on a little uphill stage. There'll be a certain point where he goes, look, I've got this if I can just hang on. So he does pick up the 5 points, the last sprint stage of the day. Not too many people looking at it, because it's more about stage honours now, and it's more about GC up for grabs. There's people got their calculators out, the mathematics are being done, the time gaps are being thick. But if the race was to stop right now, this man here would be your race leader. Came in today 12 seconds, 14 seconds back, in fact, on the yellow jersey on our yellow jersey holder. How organised are the three riders from Astana? And there they are. Like Mulu Brand, what are the instructions coming through from race radio? For Gundes there as well, just pulling out to the left, the Burgos boy. That's the target. That's the man they'll be wanting to hunt down. They will not want him to go. He's just too good a bike rider. He's a very, very good climber. But he's asking questions of this chase group. There was a similar situation yesterday from Astana. These Scati boys started to look at each other a little bit, handed the stage to, or handed the actual overall stage to Santiago Umba, but also allowed Jan Castillon to finish second, Emmanuel Bookman to finish third, and that changed GC. Put Castillon in the yellow jersey, and by a significant margin over the pre-race favourite Mulu Brand. Now we are starting to see the Astana train go to the front. Some urgency now starting to come in. once again, and there's that man Darren Van Beckham, who's been alongside of Mulubran all day. Burgundy's just sitting there with the white helmet and the red stripe down the middle of it, the Burgos team. Yellow jersey there, the Kaha Rural rider. We've also got in that group Eduard Sepulveda, Fernando Tercero, Alex Tolio is also in that group as well from the Bardiani team. And this man riding to maybe one of the finest moments of his cycling career. Chasers are coming, but they might just run out of road. Not sure how organised they are. So it's about less than 40 seconds between the group of Mulubran and Jonathan Cathido. As we look at him on screen, you see there, doesn't tend to quite get that lead extension. He just tends to pedal a little bit more shallower, but he's a very good smooth pedal cadence. Much shorter stature than the man at the front of this particular stage, Christian Bogating. Really nice there, big gears. Still looking good though. Now urgency coming from this group of 8 riders. Just see how much easier it is sitting at the back there versus being on the front. You need to work, or that yellow jersey is going to sit back on the shoulders of Jonathan Cathido. And they're starting to run out of real estate, 7 kilometres to go. Gutsy performance from the Colombian. So I can tell you officially that the time gap between Christian Bogating, the Italian, is about 1:23 to the yellow jersey. He is in the hurt box here, folks. Just working through this, remembering the good days in training, going back to the training logs. I'm good enough. I've been here before. I can do this. Equally, this man is saying the same thing. Clear by a minute. It should be enough. Gutsy, courageous performance from this man. Does he believe in the race of his life? Heart rate is high. He's trying to get the oxygen in any way he can. He's literally breathing through his eyelids at this point, folks. Still 1 minute and 29 seconds is that gap. It hasn't gone down. Race radio coming through our ears, which means that there's about a 30-second gap between Hanoch Mulubran, Jan Castellon, and back to Jonathan Cathido. So Cathido has about a 30-second gap over Mulubran. Castellon coming into the stage, he was only 12 seconds back, so he is the new race leader on the road at the moment. Question is Emmanuel Bookman in there? I'm not sure that he is. So 5 kilometres to go. Still just seeing man there from Astana, who's performed brilliantly all day. Darren Van Beckham just trying to stay warm, just trying to get a bit of blood flow through the hands. Really has been affected by the cold today. So Murray Brown will be looking to try and pick up those time bonuses. It's only 4 seconds if he was to win out of this group and things were to stay as they are. He'll still find himself down on GC, and significantly down. The fact that Jonathan Cathito continues to do what he does. So 25 seconds is the difference between this group of 7 riders and the man who is our race leader on the road, Jonathan Cathito, who is 1 minute and 5 seconds back behind this man here, who is on the way to a famous stage victory and one of the most courageous performances seen in the history of this race over the 25 years. A stunning, stunning performance from him. You talk about being in the zone. Well, right here is a metaphor, folks. He still looks good, beautifully set up, driving the legs, nice soft hands, looking at his power meter, just looking at every 100 metres ahead of him, looking at a tree in the distance, saying, I just want to get to that. Then I want to get to the next lamppost. Then I just want to maybe target a car parked on the road, break it down in small pieces. Does he believe he is on his way? Christian Bagattin, the 24-year-old from Italy. Being pursued, being chased here by Jonathan Cathito. That gap is slowly coming down, but here's our race leader on the road. He will be in the yellow jersey if things stay the same, heading into stage 6 tomorrow. Another gutsy performance from him. They'll come down now into the streets here of Gita. He knows he's got it. You can see the smile on his face. 2.2 kilometres to go. Enjoy the moment. It's been courageous. It's been gutsy. It has been just simply, well, best way to describe it. He is the epitome of excellence, isn't he? Everything you want on a bike rider. All the bad days that you have, all the races where you go home and you ask yourself whether you're good enough. But you keep coming back because you have some moments in races, you have some moments in training where the data says, I am good enough. And look at that, he's punching the air already. Wow. A very emotional moment, great to see. I'd imagine his family and friends back there in Italy will be following this race. He is 1 minute 28 seconds clear of the yellow jersey. He's going to enjoy it. He's going to come down to with less than a kilometre to go. Just needs to negotiate these final few corners. And the 24-year-old from Italy, Christian Bagattin, is going to enjoy the moment. 3 hours and 20 minutes. He started the day in the town of Gita. Did he wake up? Did he realise what was about to happen? He's going to pick up a professional race win, and he's going to do it in style. There's no luck here, folks. This is just pure hard work and determination. One of the great individual performances from a remarkable talent. He will come down, he will win stage 5, he will enjoy the accolades. This is his moment, this is his time. Christian Bagattin. 300 metres to go, my friend. A life-changing moment. Thoroughly deserved. You took your chance. You asked questions. of your fellow bike riders. They couldn't answer them. And you, my friend, from this moment on will ever be a stage winner at the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. What a performance. Enjoy the moment. You can't believe it. And now, Jonathan Cathido, will he ride himself into the yellow jersey, the Colombian? He was in yellow in stage 3. He lost it on stage 4. The group are behind him. He came 14 seconds down on the yellow jersey. The clocks will be going, but this gutsy, courageous Colombian will come across the line in second. He will pick up a time bonus. Mulubran will be desperate to win the sprint to ensure that he cuts time back into him. Here come the chasing group. Jonathan Cathido will get the clocks going. He'll pick up a 6-second time bonus. And now, 8 seconds he will need over this group of riders to ensure that he will start in the yellow jersey tomorrow. And I think it might just be enough unofficially. Tough day, wonderful bike race. Picking up 3rd place unofficially, might have been Eduardo Sepúlveda, the man from Argentina. But the story of the day is this man, Christian Baguetin. What a moment too for his team. What a moment for the MBH Bank CSB Telecom 14. Great to see the smiles. Isn't it amazing how quickly things can change? We saw that pain face, and now we see the smile. You don't get one without the other in the sport of cycling, folks. Opportunity now just to enjoy the accolades, to acknowledge his team, those that have helped him get here. This will be his 3rd professional stage win. It'll go with the stage that he won in the Tour of Turkey earlier this year. He won a stage in Gran Premio Industri del Marmo in 2023. And now he adds stage victory in the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. Eduardo Sepúlveda will cross the line in 3rd from Li Ning Star. But it's been a tough day for these bike riders. Look at the hurt, look at the anguish and the suffering. This man made it look easy, but that's what happens when you wake up and for whatever reason you find yourself in the zone. We will do all the mathematics, and we will officially try and determine who will be in the yellow jersey, but unofficially Jonathan Cathido will start stage 6 in the yellow jersey. Really good gutsy performance today from the boys from Astana. Hainok Mulubrant. Really gutsy performance for Burgos's Eric Fagundes. The boys from Bardiana, Luca Cavilli and Alex Talio. Darren Van Beckham, how tough was he today, riding for his teammates for Astana. So, folks, hope you have enjoyed Stage 5. Stage 6 still to come, another big mountain stage. What a remarkable day it has been for Christian Bagger team. Let's take in some of the stage highlights as we leave you from the magnificent town of Gongji in the province of Qinghai.